Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, another update on my League starter, the Bleed or Elemental Bleed based Blood Mage with crossbows, with spears, with basically any skill that you want, just because we have the Blood Barbs node over here, which has elemental damage, also contributes to bleeding magnitude. So that's why we use or can use lightning damage to cause bleeding. And this build has gone into like 10 different variations already, and I finally got to get my Hand of Wisdom in action, so now we can scale intelligence for flat damage, and we put in like a shit ton of other sources, so it's a very there's a lot of synergy in this build going on with Crown of Ice, with an actual spell damage focus, and so on and so forth. But before we go into the details of the build, I would say let's just load up a map. I wasn't able to play all that much in the past couple days because I had a bunch of like real life shit coming up, but it is what it is. We're currently in Waystone's tier 9, so since I basically fixed the build now, I think it shouldn't be an issue just to straight go from T9 to tier 15 and finish the entire Atlas and do our first bosses. That's at least the plan for today's stream, but I still want to give you guys an update on what has happened since the last update was, I think, still explosive shot crossbow, and I tried out just for fun, just bought like a 5x spear, swapped on lightning spear and see how that feels, and it was so amazing that I straight up swapped to lightning spear after that. So we're gonna hear a deserted map with a map boss and a breach, so you see some single targets and map clearing and so on. I do run this with an AoE setup with Fork, for example, Volt, Lightning Infusion, Primal, and Deep Cut, so it is a bleed build, and the good thing is, like 2 days ago or so, I was like fighting 15 seconds for a rare mob. Now I'm basically just one-shotting everything, and if it doesn't kill it on the initial hits, then it simply just dies from the bleed, so it really makes it feel super smooth to play. And I'm not having any frenzy charges yet because I haven't found an easy way to fix that. It's a non-crit build as of right now, so adding frenzy charges to the build would just give me like a 50% more damage and an even better clear, but the clear is already completely ridiculous, so that shouldn't be an issue. It's maybe something that we can think about or consider once we go into the, I don't know, T18 juiced kind of like maps. If I still need damage there, then we can think about adding frenzy charges, but as of right now, based on the clearing, it just feels so freaking smooth. It's like press one button and everything dies around you. It just feels incredibly satisfying. And I think that's like the main reason why so many people are currently playing Lightning Spear, just because it feels so freaking amazing to just throw one spear and yeah, see the word basically explode. And I think the bleed variant makes it actually a little bit smoother, because if you're playing an on-hit build with Lightning Spear and you're not killing the monster, you have to throw a second spear. Other than my bleed version here, I'm throwing one spear, everything gets a bleed. Since I have over 100% chance to bleed, your Herald of Blood goes off and everything just dies. If it doesn't die on the on-hit, it just dies a second after based on the bleed damage. So it's just very fun to play. There has been a lot of like thinking and stuff going into this build where I'm not really entirely sure what is the next kind of like direction. There is things like, hey, we could go into mana stacking, we could go evasion raiding, we could, you know, there is so many paths to take right now, but it just needs testing. I kind of feel like that it's going to be an evasion ES hybrid, where you would say we're doing Grim Feast, we're having like the life remnants from the Blood Mage and stuff like that, to just make like an overall pretty tanky build. And the main reason why I say that, because initially I planned to do this as a mana stacker. We're still gonna do mana stacking, but not live from mana stacking like Mind Over Matter, because I think just based on the playstyle, you know, the problems with stun is real, and if you have no form of evasion, no damage reduction, no stun threshold, no nothing, you just sometimes just get stun locked and you just die. And I feel like that evasion would remove half of the death that I have on this character, just because of removing this like stun lock, because if you don't get hit, if you evade, then you don't get stunned basically, right? And the not being stunned would also, or at least talking about the raw amount, because I have played with the raw amount, it's like, I feel like I'm still dying more often when I'm on the raw amount than not, just because I don't have evasion, I'm not evading anything, and every time my the monsters are killing my raw, I'm just like sitting there like hard stunned like 4 seconds or something. That's what it feels like, at least, and you just get like shut down. And this is like happens quite often, so that's why I stopped using the Roa at all. And I also was wondering, if we go the evasion route, then probably it's going to be some Grim Feast action, or at least, yeah, Grim Feast, evasion stacking, and then just have like a nice ES sustain on top of that, while we have the energy shield as a form of a buffer. So we can stack our life remnants. As you see, I have 3.2k life, so that is not an issue whatsoever. So let's see if we can find the... As you saw here, I just was about to attack, but I'm just like getting 2 stuns in a row, and that's about it. But the patch making it feel so freaking much better, it's insane. Like, there has been a bunch of like monsters with magma, magma barrier, whatever, plus energy shield. It was so ridiculous to try to get a bleed on them, and now everything just dies, and it just feels so freaking rewarding to play. So let's get to the boss. Should be the last monster. What I do here is I go into Plasma Blast, I do my emergency reload, and then I just move in, and hopefully... Oh, shit. Wait, I have cooldown now! Oh, bro. Okay, let's throw a couple spears. Actually, I want to do the one-shot. I was, like, scared that I just get one-tap now. Okay, let's do this. Shoot one time, and as you see, boom, boss is dead. So this is still, like, the fact. I was just, like, a bit irritated, because usually bosses do have, like, an RP, and I do play my Plasma Blast now with Hourglass, so we have 10 seconds cooldown. And actually, I didn't know, if you don't shoot it, that it's instantly getting on cooldown. But yeah, lesson learned, now we know. But as I said, boss damage is still completely ridiculous, so I don't really see a point of changing that as of right now, because my crossbow is still pretty bad. Good. Let me quickly throw that into my dump tab and quickly see what we got here, but I'm just gonna unequip my items now, and then we're gonna put everything together so it makes the most sense in an explaining kind of way. What are we doing here even, right? So, let me quickly remove all of that. Alright, let's start from the beginning. Good. This is a blood mage, right? So we have elemental damage contributes to bleeding magnitude. That means we want to have, in the best case, lots of elemental damage, physical damage, whatever damage for our bleeds. And I still, even though the nerfs to Hand of Wisdom in action, I thought that this is still the best way of scaling. As an example, if you have like 100 intelligence or something, you're probably gonna have more lightning damage coming from this pair of gloves than you would have with a T1 roll, for example, right? So the more we stack intelligence, the more flat damage we're gonna get out of that, and we're also gonna get other goodies like increased damage and stuff like that. So, now we know we're gonna stack intelligence. Intelligence will also give me mana. And the thing is, what can we do with mana? Well, we could technically go into Mind of a Matter, we could take Eldritch Battery, there is a bunch of things that we could do, but there is a note over here which says increased spell damage per 100 mana. So 1000 mana is like 30% spell damage. It's not that crazy, but once you get into levels for like 4, 5, 6,000 mana, this note gives you quite amount of damage for like a 1-pointer in that case, right? The problem is, it is spell damage, and we are an attack-based build. How do we solve that? With the new introduced Crown of Ice, which says increase in reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks. That means this node, instead of giving me spell damage, does now give me attack damage. There is another cool thing that we can do now. Since we're playing with a spear, we can now use a focus. And a focus is basically your caster offhand, because it gives you energy shield, it gives you spell damage or lightning damage and stuff like that. I used to have a shield that was basically looking like this, where you just say like, hey, it's life resistance, and that's all about it, right? But this thing now gives me like over 150% increased damage, so that is actually insane damage that we can get from the focus over here in combination with the Crown of Ice. Then Venopuncture is like very strong, because you want to try to get 100% chance to bleed. And since there's not many sources of bleeding magnitude on the tree or on gear, the 30% magnitude of bleeding you inflict is actually insane amounts of damage when it comes to the bleed kind of scaling. So now we basically have a shit ton of options to actually scale our damage in that case. We can stack mana for the Arcane Intensity. We can stack Intelligence for the Hand of Wisdom in action, as well as the Pure Power, where we get % increased lightning damage per intelligence. So everything has like a very, very nice synergy. We could just get a spear with like a lot more damage. To scale our damage even further. We can, you know, the possibilities are endless. We could scale even spell damage if we want to now with the Crown of Ice. The rest of the gear, this is basically still from my first day of leveling, which just says bleeding you inflict is aggravated. We will not need that at some point, but the thing is, at the moment, I'm just short on currency to buy like a Giga ES chest, but I'm still not 100% sure if we're gonna go ES, fully ES, and actually skill Eldritch Battery to get like big mana pulls and then go Mind Over Matter. But then I'm like, okay, why do we have the life remnants now? I need to test today if mana remnants, the ones that are basically doubling your mana, will also scale your arcane intensity. That would be another way why I would not go Mind Over Matter, because we have a big life buffer with energy shield, and if we now can get mana remnants to scale this node, like make it twice as good, that would be actually kind of ridiculous. So then the spear here and the rest here is just like some complete garbage 1 exalt items that I still have from like day one. So there's many things that I still need to upgrade on this build, but as you see, every kind of like form of item is now a crazy increase. And once I go Eldritch Battery, you just stack ES bases to get even more mana, right? So yeah, it's something that you have to POB. It's something that you need to check what makes the most sense. I thought it's going to be pure mana stacking with EB and MOM, but I'm now thinking more about evasion stacking just because of the stuns, and it's like really annoying, and we do have a massive life mana, life ES pull once we scale later into endgame, especially since the node over here says gain additional maximum life equal to 100% of the energy shield of your body armor. So it means if you get like 1,000 ES body armor, which is definitely possible, we would also get like 1,000 life or something, right? This would be absolutely ridiculous in combination with the life remnants, for example. But I still have to do lab. I still have to upgrade the gem levels. I have level 16 gems and stuff like that. So there is lots of things to do. I still want to quickly go over the gear and just talk about what stats I was looking for. Here is, you can have ally damage with attacks, you can have projectile skills, you do want to have some attack speed, you could have just pure fist, you can have a mix of ally damage. In the best case scenario, you just, if you're interested in the spear, just copy it in your POB and see how much damage you would get. For example, if I would have lower damage but more plus levels, it would probably be the same amount of damage. If my intelligence value is a lot higher, then ally damage with attacks becomes more valuable. So there is no like fixed strategy where you would say those are the 5 stats that you want to have on your weapon, right? If this would have like 100 more DPS, then I could probably get away with not having any projectile skills and still do more damage, for example, right? So that's why I say it's really like plug it in your POB and figure out what kind of stats you want to need. But high physical damage, ally damage with attack speed, projectile skills, just the attack speed to make the build feel better. You know, just gonna test it out. Then Crown of Ice is a no-brainer. The increase in reduction to spell damage also applied to attack damage. This is basically how we're gonna scale damage for the majority. The focus, life resistance, yeah. Energy shield, spell damage, lightning damage, resistance, whatever you can get. Same counts for the belt, the boots, the ring, the amulet. Everything is about life resistance as of right now. We could scale a lot more mana on it if you want to scale it that way, right? But projectile skills also available on the amulet, so that might be a thing that you want to get too. I'm currently not even res cap because I just recently swapped to this focus. Now I'm probably gonna just get a better belt with like triple ally res or something to cap my res again, and then we're gonna see which kind of like stuff we're gonna take here. Like, what is this? 20 movement speed, 90 life, 10 intelligence, 30 fire res. This is like still from like super early in the leveling. As you see, it requires level 48, item level 60, so that probably was like somewhere I got this in like T1 maps or something. So there is insane amounts of things that I still need to upgrade on that. Let's take a look at the skill tree. Moving up here at the moment, I didn't realize until like very late that here are actually Fist node and increased, or at least inflict bleeding on hit and magnitude of bleeds over here. So that is actually quite nice. I figured that out once I planned to go Mind Over Matter, and then I checked all the other nodes because I tried to get 100% chance to bleed. And as of right now, I'm having here some bleed chance nodes. We have here the advanced munitions with the chance to inflict ailments with projectiles. But there is one thing that I learned. The chance to inflict ailments and the chance to inflict bleeding are not additive. Chance to inflict bleeding is like your base, and your chance to inflict ailments is like a a multiplier to that or something like that. So what I wanted to do is, if I go into my Lightning Spear, I wanted to have 100% chance to bleed, and that's why I even socket in a rune over here, the Soul Core of Piloti, for the chance to cause bleeding on hit. So if I don't have this one in, and then I'm down to like 80% because of the way that the chance to inflict bleeding and the chance to inflict ailments work together. Then basically all the natural bleed nodes here with, or at least lightning damage scaling nodes, pure power, we have the wild storm, we also have all the damage nodes over here, as well as like bleed nodes and polymathy here, because we're now starting to stack intelligence for damage. Also dexterity might be a good way. I don't like this in specific. I would see a way, if we would not play Mind of a Meta, which is probably not going to be the way, that we skip away all of the left part over here and maybe go through the middle part and get Falcon Technique, get the split shot, for example, and move down over here and skip the right side. But there is still the Coming Calamity, which is quite nice because we do run Herald of Thunder here, so that is like 50%, 24%, so 74% increased lightning damage for 3 points is actually insane value. Good, and currently level 80, so we are now trying to get the next 4 levels into Lightning Rod, and now and then we should basically have like a pretty solid core, basically, of the tree. Another cool thing here, I have a From Nothing, which is Eldritch Battery. I got this yesterday for a Divine, and that lets me basically allocate Arcane Intensity. We have Raw Mana, and we have the Branching Bolts, which has 60% chance for lightning skills to chain an additional time, which obviously helps insanely with the clear, especially since I'm running this with a Fork. It's probably a bit of an overkill, maybe even later on speccing into the split shots where projectiles have 75% chance for an additional projectile when forking, and here another. So they always 100% chance when they fork, and we do fork because of fork gem. It's gonna be ridiculous clear. Maybe even overkill clear. When it comes to the gems, I'm currently running Life Remnants with Magnetism and Clarity. Magnetism is super nice. Remnants created by support skills can be collected from 100% further away. Then Lightning Spear, Deep Cuts, Primal Elements, Fork, Bolt, and Lightning Effusion. Blood Hunt is sometimes I use that, but most of the time it's not even necessary. Running this with Bloodlust, Heavy Swing, and Conk effect. Plasma Blast, Concoct, then See Red, Momentum, and Hourglass, Emergency Reload, Premeditation, Persistence, Ingenuity. Conductivity is something I don't really use at all. Hate and Curse and Focus Curse, this would be something for a single target once we swap away from the chest. Then the Ripwire Ballista with Font of Blood, Rage, and Mana. So we just put this one down, and you're just gonna get Rage, Mana, and Life Regen, which is super good. Then here, Herald of Thunder, Longshot, Electrocute, Innovate, Deadly Herald, Reach, and Magnified Effect on the Herald of Blood. At the moment, I'm testing a little bit, like deactivating Herald of Blood, because I feel like it's getting a bit useless. Then remove Clarity, and then swap on to the Roa mount to just have like a better feeling in terms of mapping. But as I said, without evasion, you know, once you get stun locked, you get thrown off your mount, and then you basically are dead. So that's why I stopped playing with it. But maybe once I get some evasion rating, it's going to be better. But as of right now, get away the Roa mount, get back Herald of Blood, and run Clarity on the Life Remnants. Good. That is it for the current state of the art on the build. I'm having so much fun on this build after the patch, after I've revamped a lot of the skill tree and the itemization and everything. Because the comparison, if like you need 20 seconds to kill a rare monster in a T5 map, or now you're basically one-shotting rare monsters in a tier 10. Obviously, tier 10 is not like the craziest, but I could see myself just throwing in a T16 map or something and do the exact same thing just because I have so much damage right now. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. I'm gonna keep you guys updated as we go, and yeah, see you in the next video.